to me, hormones were something that I had and were lost. So I'm replacing something that was naturally in my body.
I'm Ann Marie McQueen, journalist and proud 50-ish woman, and we are here looking for the true truth in perimenopause, menopause, midlife, and beyond.
Opening our minds to other possibilities is not always easy.
Hot flashing.
You're all woman to me. All right, Ann Marie.
Anyone who listens to this podcast will know that I've had a hard time finding help with my perimenopause and menopause symptoms over the years. Whether it was trouble sleeping or extreme anxiety or even vagina stuff, I've encountered roadblock after roadblock and doctors who don't know anything about taking care of women like me. It made everything harder than it had to be. That's why I'm so happy that there are companies like MIDI Health stepping into the gap and sponsoring podcasts like this. Their supportive, comprehensive, and holistic approach to the menopause transition will provide you what we all need most: a personalized care plan. Their virtual care clinic is easy to use and covered by most insurance plans. You can chat with your specialist during an appointment or message 24/7. You don't have to deal with this alone any longer. Book your visit today at joinmidi.com. That's JOINMIDI.com. My guest today really does need no introduction. I've never said that before, but I feel like it's actually apropos right now. I had her magazine cover on the back of my door back in high school. Did you do that? Cut out magazine pictures and put them on the back of your bedroom door? Anyway, I had hers on mine and also pasted in a collage on the front of my binder, which really was like, a 1980s-esque vision board, if you ask me. Kim Alexis is one of the most recognized faces in the modeling industry, having been on the cover of more than 500 magazines and appearing in 6 Sports Illustrated swimsuit issues. She's been in commercials, she's been a correspondent, host, and guest host for everything from Good Morning America to Fox News. She's also written 11 books, fiction and nonfiction, and is well known for her dedication to clean living and aging gracefully. Before becoming a model, she was a competitive swimmer, and after, she ran 8 marathons and 3 triathlons. She passed my Instagram a few weeks ago when she talked about cutting off her hair, and my first thought was, hello, old friend, where have you been? I looked up everything about her. I found out she's 63 and she does all this great content. And my second thought was, maybe Kim Alexis wants to talk to the perimenopause and menopause about the intersection of menopause and midlife. And sure enough, she did. Thank you so much for speaking with me.
Yes.
This is really exciting. I'm sure everyone starts this way, but you were my favorite model. Like, you were on the back of my bedroom door. When I made a collage. I think I'm 53, so I think you're 63. You're 10 years older than me. And I made a collage, and you were in it. And also, I had a binder, and I made a collage on that, and you were in that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I just loved you. Not in a weird stalker way. I came across you on Instagram, and I it's so funny because people sort of disappear and then they reappear. And I saw you and I was like, there she is. Oh my goodness. Wow. This is amazing.
Yeah. So somehow, I don't know how things get into a queue of being popular.
So it's not just my perception. Like, you did that video and it kind of like propelled things.
Yeah. All of a sudden it had over 20,000 views and people were saying, wow, there you are. You just showed up in my feed.
Yeah.
So what makes that happen? I don't know.
So what happened? Like, that day, what happened? What made you make that video?
A woman commented on Instagram and I was doing another video, and I love talking about, here's an ingredient, or have you thought of this, or this is what I've learned, or this is what I find that's healthier. And so all I was doing was just minding my own business and posting things for other people. And she comments and says, I can't even listen to your videos because all I'm doing is focusing on your gray roots. Go get them touched up, girlfriend. And so I kind of just got mad and responded to that. I'm like, listen, if you have trouble and you're focusing on unfollow, I don't need that. I'm not doing anything to my face. I'm staying natural. That's who I am. And some people they just took things the wrong way, but 98% said, amen, I'm with you. Welcome to the club. Anyways.
It seems to me, one thing I've learned lately is like, people are projecting, right? Like, there's something about your roots that's bothering her. There must be. Like, why would it bother her?
Yeah.
enough that she had to say something.
Because I mainly said I don't color my hair anymore because I get a headache. It
Okay.
gives me a bad, because I'm talking about toxins all the time. And and I'm talking about living naturally. So I'm not going to get Botox. I'm not going to get fillers.
Yeah.
And then, not coloring my hair seemed to be a big new topic.
You were also cutting it off. Like you were deciding to cut it off then, or did it going viral sort of lead you to?
I think that it was in the back of my mind, like, what do I do? It's only getting longer. And it was then, now that I've made this commitment and it's gone viral to do the gray, then I've got all this blonde. And it was just me using sun in my hair, which is what we used when we were modeling. We never colored our hair back in the day.
You didn't?
So, no.
That's crazy.
This is 45 years ago. I mean, yes, they had salons. My mother went every week, but I didn't want to go because my mother went. So I thought it was something for old people to do. I don't know. None of the girls went to salons. We didn't really highlight. We didn't do any of that stuff, and nobody asked us to.
That's so funny that you say that, because my friends' daughters that are, 14 and 15 are getting balayage and all these really expensive things. And I was like, my gosh, I didn't even do anything to my eyebrows until I was 30. I can't even imagine the bill, because I didn't even have money for all that stuff. But they're all getting everything, manicures and pedicures, and teenagers are growing up with all this stuff. And
right. Even facials.
Yeah.
I mean, when I first started working at 18, we didn't have facials. We just worked. So,
that's crazy. Yeah. Like all this extra stuff sort of came. Models now that are 18 or 20, they're getting probably all sorts of like microdermabrasion and all this extra stuff.
Yeah.
Was there airbrushing? There was airbrushing.
Yes. So I was in a grocery store one time, and I was on, at some point, like up to 8 covers in a month, like on all the grocery store, like Vogue, Glamour, Mademoiselle, Bazaar, all of them, right? And so this woman comes up to me in Gristedes in New York City, and she's like, "Oh, I've been looking at your face all day." And I'm like, "Well, thank you." And I thought it was because I was on the cover. And I don't know, she says, "I'm a retoucher." And I'm like, "Oh."
She literally had been looking at your face all day.
Yeah.
How did you handle that kind of attention at that age?
We were isolated. We didn't have feedback. We didn't get much response at all from a fan base. At that point, I wasn't doing speaking engagements. So we were just on closed sets working all the time. And the more I worked, the less I socialized with other people. So we didn't have that feedback. So to me, I wasn't sure who I was affecting. I had no idea that I didn't have ways to speak to you. I didn't have ways to get that feedback.
Yeah, I was thinking about that because the models of that time were really sort of voiceless. Like you really were you were faces, and there was so much mystery about what you would be like. And now, as we know, models, I mean, Kendall Jenner, you can watch her on a TV show. It's so much different. Yeah. Would you, so you think, did that help your mental health? Like there wasn't the challenges?
I think it kept us in check, but for some, I mean, I was just one of those, put my head down and work. And if something came of it, fine. If nothing came of it, I just felt work was important. But to others, I think they needed that feedback. Like, why am I doing this? I could be doing something else.
Yeah.
So for me, it was important. For other girls, they either didn't have, I mean, sometimes they'd show up just not ready or not looking great because they could, or they were partying too much. And I mean, I probably did that a couple of days also, but we didn't know how it affected the rest of the world.
And when you look back on that time, you hear a lot of how brutal things were back then, body image and those sort of things. And I don't know that it's any different now with social media and everything being everywhere. But did you have that? You were an athlete, so you were strong and you continued to run and do everything in your modeling career. But did you have that feedback that made you doubt yourself?
We did, from the stylists and from the photographers on set. So yeah, that was the body image especially was super important back then. meaning they wanted you to be super thin. And so I battled that all the time because I was muscular. I was athletic. I wasn't ever super skinny. So did that change? Could that change? And so, yeah, no, that became a big battle.
How did you deal with it?
Yeah, I didn't deal with it well. I went through a lot of different stupid diets and stupid things of trying to stay thin. And at some point, I started to realize I can't maintain this. I can't keep it. This is not who I am. And if I need to be this, I need to go find something else to do. And then I started running marathons to prove I was an athlete versus a skinny smoking model, or, somebody that stayed home and was stick thin.
Yeah. Were you friends with the girls that, were in the Apple documentary, like the Cindy Crawford? Did you guys hang out? Like,
they're your age, so they're 10 years younger.
Ah, right.
Those
Okay.
Those snots got where they were because we paved the way. Sorry.
Okay. I melded you all together. They're my age. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they're
So
90s. We were 80s.
Yeah. Who was in your cohort then?
Carol Alt, Kelly
Yep.
Emberg, Esme, I don't know if you know Iman.
Mm-hmm.
Cheryl Teagues Christy Brinkley was a little bit, she's about 5 years older than I am, 5, 6.
Okay.
So we were like big in the 80s, I think, working a lot in the 80s.
Did you make as much money as they did 10 years later?
No.
Oh.
No, I don't hear a thank you. Do you hear a thank you anywhere?
No. During your modeling career, were you thinking about what you were going to do after? Because everyone always talks about how it's a youthful career. Was that on your mind? Because you've done so many things. Was that by design?
Yes, in a way, I can't say like 18, 19, 20 it was. At that point, I still thought I could go back, so that I could have gone back to college and gone into what I was going to do before I was discovered, which was pharmacy.
Right.
As I got older, and once I had my Revlon contract, I had that for like 3 or 4 years, and I was paid to be exclusive, which meant not working with many other magazines. So people, or the business, became used to me not appearing everywhere. And so once that contract ended, then I kind of looked around like, like, now what? So then at this point, I was living in Florida and I owned 2 health clubs. And so I started doing little promos for the health clubs, which were fitness tips. And so I would have like a 2 or 3 minute segment on the local news once a week from my health club, like on a bike or out doing something and just having fitness tips. And so then Good Morning America picked me up. And that's how I started as the fashion correspondent on Good Morning America, from them seeing those little clips.
And now you're doing tons of content, like you write for Men's Journal and other articles. I mean, I think the nutrition and fitness scene is bananas right now. And I've been writing about it for 30 years. I'm wondering what you think when you're looking on social media. Like, I don't know what to think. I don't know what a person does if they know less than I do. Like, I still get confused all the time. I'm sick of it. Like, I'm really, really sick of everyone telling me what to do and how to be. And then I think I have one thing right. And then you got to do I'm rambling, but I'm just wondering, what do you think?
I get it. Number one, there's misinformation on social media, and there are no, what's the word? Not parameters or boundaries, but there's no real rule that says you have to speak truth. So when I'm writing for Men's Journal, if I make a claim like oranges have vitamin C, I've got to prove that. So I have to put links in that tie to other articles oranges that have vitamin C is fairly basic, but there's so many claims that you're making about like adaptogens or different herbs and things that if you're not being able to cite your work, then it might not be legitimate. And that's a whole different ballgame. So that is something that is much more monitored. And Google is the one who actually oversees that. They don't want people making false claims and having someone Google something and lead them down the wrong path. So I like that. I like the accountability. I like the being able to trust a certain source or site. And we don't have that on social media. So some of the claims, and we can go down rabbit holes. I mean, you can go from one video to the next, and they're all making these claims, or this is the only bread you should eat, or stop with this, or no oils, or this one has this in it. And even if it says it's natural, it's not. And it's like,
You have a parasite.
So-
That's the latest one I see all the time is I have a parasite because I grind my teeth. I definitely have a parasite. And yeah. And it's like, oh, I don't know. I don't know about that. I didn't.
Well, and you don't have the time. See, when I'm writing, if I'm looking at that, I've got to go find where that came from.
Yeah.
So many people don't have that time or know how to do that. But yeah, I'm going to go look it up after the.
Well, I asked my doctor and she said, people do get parasites and you can do a cleanse. It's fine. But it's just, sometimes I think the way people use fear to, you're
Black
like, you're just
walnut tincture.
Yeah, exactly. And wormwood. Right? But
yes.
My doctor said she does a parasite cleanse once a year. Who knew? I don't know. She said it's just a thing she does. But it's the way, what I read, it's like you're ambling along, you're in a good mood, you're having a coffee, you give yourself 5 minutes, and then you just see something you never knew you had to worry about.
Right. The one that killed me was, and it's probably true, is that chocolates have cadmium and lead in them.
Right.
And I'm like, wait, what?
So you're a clean living aficionado. This is a road that you can go too far down too, right? Like how do you keep a healthy balance in your life?
Well, there's only so many things I can change, even with my makeup. Like I'm due for new makeup. So now I've got to research and figure out, okay, what's better, what's new on the market. And I want to support the small companies that are really making struggles to get ahead. So for me, it's research and it's what can you fit into your life? How can you feel peaceful and good about it? Because we could lay in bed all night worrying about, oh my gosh, the air I'm breathing or the EMTs and all.
Yes.
I mean, it's crazy. So we're always going to be surrounded by it. So in our tiny bubble, how can we daily chip away or weekly or whatever and make a little change here and there?
And you have lived like I did through the 70s where when no one cared about anything and everything was plastic and convenient. And
how about you trusted? So like if you were I had peanut butter this morning. I'm like, I remember this peanut butter 40 years ago. And I'm like, I didn't even look to see if it had sugar or hydrogenated oils. And I'm like, crud.
Yeah. What are some pillars? Say 3 things that you are adamant about.
My 3 things is 1, laundry detergent, because it's on the clothes we wear and absorbed through our skin during the day. And at night it's in our sheets. So that's a big one. To me, foods, if possible, there's so many foods. Number 1, of course, shop the outer aisle, which is less messed with as possible. And then try and go organic if you can on some things. Third, skincare is important to me. So moisturizer and my cleanser and sometimes just a pure bar of soap and then putting on. So cleaning my face is not as important as moisturizing and protecting it. Another one I would even say is, and you may do this, is those zeolites where you're cleaning out the heavy metals in your body and the toxins. So I take the little drops of a zeolite mixture that I like. And so I find that I just feel better. Water is very important because water is something we have every single day. So one of my problems with my water was that I was doing the reverse osmosis and now I have no minerals. And so then I started cramping. Now I got where I was waking up between 2 and 4 in the morning and they're like, that is a symptom of being low in minerals. And I'm like, that's me. So I've just started putting more minerals and making sure I'm supplementing with minerals. Number 1, we're depleted with, even if you have an organic vegetable, sometimes it may not have all the minerals that we used to have in our soil because we don't rotate our crops, or we don't give it a 7-year rest, like in the Bible where it says 6 years you plow your fields and the 7-year you just leave it and let it rest.
That's funny. I don't hear many people talking about water, and people have always made fun of me. I have a friend here who imports water from Spain, and he's obsessed with mineral water. And he explained to me, Emery, you need the mineral. I didn't really know. I didn't really think about it. I was drinking filtered water from the tap, which is desalinated, which probably isn't the greatest. And once I started drinking, he said, just drink 1 bottle a day. And once I started drinking it, I really did notice the difference in having those minerals, like having them. And I'm sure you noticed when you started.
Right.
Like,
No,
I don't cramp anymore and sleep is better. I don't know. It's really something.
yeah. Yeah. But it's interesting that he gets them from Spain. So then there's that thing of, okay, this is where I live. So what do I eat that's indigenous to me?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you live in Alaska, why are you eating bananas and coconuts?
Yeah. I live in the UAE and I'm drinking water from Spain.
Yes. So again, you can go down a rabbit hole, but at some point you've got to stop and say, hey, this is as good as I can do right now, and see how that goes, and then look around later and see if there's a different option. I don't know.
Well, I think there are a lot of people too wandering around you can make a real psychological issue of this. Like it can become, and I know I've even gone down that road where I've gotten just too weird about it. Like I'm not touching the cash register receipt. And as I've gotten a little bit older, I'm like, you know what? I'm doing mostly okay. I don't need to be perfect in this. And I don't know if it's getting older that sort of helps you relax.
There's a nutritionist, Dr. Joel something, I forgot his last name. And I remember he said, as long as you get vegetables, I don't even care if they're organic, because your body if you support your body enough, it can filter and process certain things out. Yeah. So that's a doctor telling you, I'd rather you have the vegetables than go for organic. Maybe some people can't afford the organic.
Yeah.
So there's different options. There's different things, and we have to all adapt. I mean, a part of our whole life is adapting.
Did you know I also have a Substack? That's a fancy way of saying I have a newsletter. Each week I share research, news, products, tips, and tricks from the world of menopause and midlife. Sometimes I even write an essay about my own life and what I'm going through. Hot Flash Inc. on Substack is where I pull together everything that's here and in the menosphere and break it all down so we can try and make sense of it all. Join more than 5,000 women, practitioners, CEOs, and more, and become a subscriber today. You can also get my podcast and special video and audio drops you can't get anywhere else. Sign up today at hotflashinc.substack.com. So you mentioned skincare. Your skin looks amazing. And I know I was reading your bio and you mentioned skincare, sort of like your skin is a system, skincare from the inside out. Sometimes I feel like people don't really understand that. I feel like it's almost like the mind-body connection. People don't understand that your skin is like a living representation of your inside. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, there's two different things. So the first part we'll touch later, but the second part is you can almost see how a person lives by their skin, whether they've had a rough life or that personality does show up of how you view the world. Some people have rougher looking skin, and some people are very peaceful and very calm and quiet, and you see their skin is peaceful. So yes, there's something to that. But then there's the whole inner thing of feeding your skin from the inside, and what you eat from the inside affects your outside. And so that's why I'm very careful about trying to just maintain a healthy way of living and eating all the time, because it shows up in my face.
Do you have any treatments that you like doing?
I have lately been treated to facials. So I think I treat my skin by being treated to facials. I hadn't had them in a long time. So it was fun to be able to just go and get a facial and realize, it's been a long time. So that was good, but treatments, not really. I mean, I do masks myself or whatever, but it's just, I don't fuss I'm not a fussy person. I don't spend a lot of time in the bathroom. I don't spend a lot of time putting makeup on, and that's just me. Some people take a long time to get ready. I can't do it.
No, I don't either. I often think like I don't know, I'm not a real woman. Like there's the women who do that, and I don't know what you call me, because I can get ready really fast and I enjoy getting
Yeah.
ready really
Well, I kind of look in the mirror and I'm like, I don't have anything else to do. I'm just going to go.
Yeah.
Right. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know what else. Some people can play with things, and that's just their personality.
So Hot Flash Inc., we're kind of the intersection of midlife and menopause and perimenopause here. So I'm curious about your experiences with hormonal shifts. What was it like for you?
So I'm the oldest of two, my sister and I. So I remember I was 52 and I was somewhere and I realized that the monthly cycle started being interrupted. So I called her and I'm like, this is the age, 2 years from now, you're going to be having this. And so I kind of wanted to give her a heads up. And so it took a while for my body. Sometimes I'd have a light cycle and sometimes it was so heavy. It was awful. So I'm sure everyone's is different. Mine lasted like 2-3 years. It's interesting, kind of like giving birth to a baby. You forget after you've gone through it.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. Yeah. Well, like all crappy things, you forget about it, like even relationships that were bad. I find myself reminiscing about people that I never thought I would.
Or, oh, they weren't so bad.
Yeah. Because you just remember the good stuff. Did you have any other symptoms that you like, physical or emotional or?
Yeah. I mean, emotional at that point, I was living on my own, so I didn't get feedback from a husband. But as far as just moody and weird and brain fog, probably. And at some point, I had to go to a gynecologist for an exam, and they tested blood work, and she's like, "You have no hormones." And so I'm on pellets. So I take the hormone. Yeah.
What estrogen and
I need all three. I need estrogen
three.
and testosterone pellets, and then I take progesterone every night.
Okay. And what difference, like, how did you feel that made you feel?
If I could describe it, it was that the silent scream inside my body went away, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. You just felt what, calm or?
Well, I just felt more complete.
Okay.
Like a reset button was pushed. And my gynecologist said that. She says, your body inside is screaming because you're so imbalanced. And so when my hormones are put in every 3 months, then my body kind of breathes a sigh of relief. And it's like, oh, yes, back to normal.
Can you feel it when you're getting closer to the replacement or whatever you call it? You can feel, what do you feel like?
Just that I get a little snappy and I don't feel the same. I think I just don't feel as aware, not aware. I don't even know what the word is. There's like a weird inner agitation.
Okay. And then when you get them replaced, it's gone.
Yeah. The kind of the inner body peace comes back.
Oh.
Nothing to do with your mind, but more just your body breathing a sigh of relief.
So it's really feels your body. It's really your body more than your mind.
Yes.
That's so interesting. And is this something that you and your doctor talk about you staying on for a long time?
Yeah. I mean, I don't look too far ahead because things can change, but because I've started it, I don't know as if I have the ability to make them anymore, but I wasn't making them then. So
yeah,
some people would say, well, you need to stay natural or you need to let your body do what it does. But we have messed up our systems with different parabens and all the different toxins that are out there, and they're hormone disruptors. So I've been messed with. So I got to go put things back.
Yeah.
So if I was living in a perfect world, if I was living in the Garden of Eden, I wouldn't have these problems. But we are bombarded and we are thrown into imbalance. And so it's up to us to struggle either by doing nothing or trying to reset as best you can. So that's my choice. You don't have to do it. Nobody else has to do it. But it works for me.
And did you have a struggle because you're like a natural type person? Was it a decision for you, or did you wrestle with it?
I did a bit, but to me, hormones were something that I had and were lost. So I'm replacing something that was naturally in my body. Same with my thyroid, because I'm on thyroid medication.
Okay.
So it is just replacing something that wasn't there.
It's interesting to hear you talk about that, because there's really is a lot of polarization in this menopause discussion. And I feel like there's people pushing hormone therapy, and then there's people pushing being natural. And it reminds me a little bit of childbirth. And do you
Drugs or no drugs?
Yeah. I will say that I've done a lot of interviews on various things, but pellets, I would say, is one of the most controversial things about this space. Have you heard about the controversy?
Well, yes, I've gotten some feedback from people saying, oh, well, you might have more of a chance of breast cancer. So it's like, you know what? I believe that my body is balanced and it's back, as I said, where I think that I should be to function at a normal place. So why would that cause any, I don't know, disease of some sort?
No, it's more, I feel like the pellet conversation is more, I see videos of like, if your doctor gives you pellets, run the other way. These are dangerous. They can give you these super physiological levels of hormones. And then I talk to doctors who prescribe them and say that they work great. And I talk to people who are on them and they work great. But it really seems to be one of the most divisive issues.
Yeah.
I feel. Yeah. So have you ever had anyone saying that to you? Have you ever talked about it?
Well, let's put it this way. If I stopped taking pellets right now, I think that I would be a mess in different ways, that inner mess of just feeling inside. So for me, I'm doing so much right now that I can't imagine feeling bad or not being at my top level. So I do whatever it takes. And to me, I don't see that negative side. So I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing.
Oh, that's amazing. It seems to me one of these weird things in our world where millions of people are doing it and getting relief from it, but there's people saying it's dangerous. Like, I'm nervous if I put out a clip of you talking about pellets that you're going to get a whole bunch of backlash. That's how heated it is.
Yeah.
Do you care?
Well, I don't know. Backlash is backlash, but I think each person has a different, their body reacts differently to things. What they've been exposed to is different. I've traveled other countries. I don't know if any of that has to do with anything, or the stress level of what I've had to deal with and work, and how that's different than somebody that grew up in a small town and didn't ever really move and has a life with family all around them and a support system. I don't know. I'm not sure what makes that, but we need to stop pointing our fingers at everyone else and just say, okay, she's doing that. Now what's good for me? Would that work for me? Is that something I should consider or not? But not that screaming and pointing the fingers thing. That's just, there's too much of that right now.
Oh, too much of it.
We need to, and especially as women, we need to support each other. And I think, remember before you had children, you wanted to hear everyone's labor story. You wanted to know, oh, how did you know you were in labor? Or and it was different for every person. But as you were going through it, you just wanted to hear the stories, because then it helped you, or it gave you more of a big picture of something, or it gave you peace, whatever it was. But we learn from stories. So we have to tell each other our own stories.
And I really like how you frame menopause too, because there's some really smart women who are working in the medical field who are saying the reason women seem to be having such a hard time is probably due to sort of like an environmental evolutionary mismatch. We weren't, previously, it's not that menopause is new, because some people say that, oh, it's only 100 years old, or women used to die at 50. It's not that really. It's just, 100, 200, 300 years ago, we didn't have to deal with all of these things.
Or less people were talking about it, or felt comfortable talking about it.
Yeah.
They were not allowed to. Even my parents. My mom's in her 80s, but I'm not so sure if she had like luncheons and sat there and discussed her hormones, and there weren't options either. But I don't think that there were as many environmental disruptors. So we've had to make different support systems because of how we messed with everything else, in my mind.
When you went through menopause, did you have any sort of like emotional shift or soul shift, or did you feel like a shift in yourself?
I probably did because I was at that point divorcing my ex. So I was going, and again, was that from hormones or was that from a situation? I'm not sure, a little bit of both. But yeah, I went through an awful lot. And so I knew for me to be better, I needed to do soul searching and figuring out why I chose this or why I reacted that way, all that stuff to try and make a better me.
How did you do that? How did you do that?
Well, I'm a Christian, so talking to God and staying close to him and literally singing, praise songs helped in some ways for my peace level. I would do a lot of hiking and just tuning in. Okay, why do I feel this way? I asked myself a lot of questions. Why did I allow that person to yell at me? Or why did I feel I had to defend myself? Or why did I cry when that movie came on? What touched me? So it's that self-evaluation without being self-centered.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So just lots of questions that you didn't ask yourself when you were younger.
Right. Just busy and do. I don't know. I look back at my younger self, I'd probably be like, woo, who are you?
Well, I think when you're younger, you don't ask questions. You maybe judge yourself because you cried or because you did this or because you did that. You don't, the self-inquiry thing is what comes later. It's really interesting. Were you nicer to yourself when you got older, would you say?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Became nicer. I, in some ways, had to and be more graceful because things are changing. So in that way, I mean, I was applauded for exterior looks, and those exterior looks are changing and shifting and not the same as they were in their 20s. And some people still expect us to look the way we did because they don't want to get older. So they know, they saw me on magazines, whatever age they were, and then they see me older and they're like, wait, if she looks older, that must mean I'm older.
That's a lot. That's a big burden.
Yeah, that's their problem, not mine.
I always remember watching the Oscars with my parents, and I guess they would be 10 years younger than me. And I remember them saying, God, he got old. God, she got old. And I think, whatever, like, why are you going on and on about it? And now I completely understand when I watch shows and I see people that are, 20 years older than me. And it's like, wow, because you're just seeing your future, you're seeing yourself, you're seeing the passage of time. But I never really thought about that, how that feels when you're one of those people.
Yeah, but some age fast and others are, wow, for their age, like she's 80 and she's still doing this. And then you get admirable, I guess, in a way, and support them and come alongside them. So I like seeing someone who's older but refined and like a good wine.
You found love later in life. You've remarried?
Yes.
I saw a handsome fellow on your Instagram.
So I've been married for 6 years.
Amazing.
And he's a different personality than my first two husbands. So I'm a number 3. Jeff always says I'm number 3. So for me, I had to work on me to be able to realize that he was who was my other half, who really became, we never fight. It's always peaceful. And so I'm a different person and more supported and lifted up because he allows that. And he does that for me.
That's amazing. Okay. I'm single, still hoping to, what's your advice to change, to do that and, to attract that kind of person?
I think you need to work on you only. I mean, you can do that whole weird thing of the universe and how do you attract that one person or whatever. I don't know, but each one has their own different story. And it's almost when you're least looking for it and least expecting it, that things happen. It was like that. I've been in lawsuits or, people suing me before, and I was like, oh, and it was when I was already past it and on to something else and had almost released it, that all of a sudden the result or resolve would come in, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's the answer to that. Versus I've been desperate and I needed this. And so to me, I find that the quicker I can get over something and realize it's just a stepping stone of me growing and learning, and release it and let go of it, the quicker things resolve. And so it was like that finding a husband, that you can't be desperate. I think men smell that.
Yeah.
Don't want it. So for me, I had to be solid and true to myself of who I was. And when I was that way, I could attract the type of man that I wanted to be with long term.
I think a lot of women, when they hit 50-ish, are worried about being invisible. I hear that a lot. And I always say, look, like, if you think you're going to be invisible, you're going to be invisible. You need to be visible to yourself. But for anyone who's sort of at that age and worrying about their role and what their future is, because I hear my friends even saying, I'm too old for that. I'm too old for that. You've done so much and you keep reinventing yourself. What's your advice for that kind of a mindset?
I've been put on this earth to do things, and I love searching and turning the corner like, oh, is that some new opportunity? I didn't ever think of it, but I could do that. So it's that keeping positive and understanding that I have something to contribute to society. We are all valuable, and the person listening to this is great at something that I'm terrible at. So there's a lot of things I'm really terrible at, and I have to hire people to help me. And when I learn to stay in my lane and do what's good, and my husband's really good at identifying that. He says, you don't have time for this. Let's find somebody to help you in this area. And so the busier you get, the more you need help, and you need people around you to lift you up. I, at one point, was doing nothing when I first divorced, and I was volunteering at a hospital. I had plenty of time for that. So if you're listening and you don't have things to do or you feel no worth, it's good to go volunteer. It's good to give your time. Number one, it gets your focus off you and your problems, and it helps somebody else. And that not only makes you feel good, but it's obviously good for them. So I still do a lot of charity work. I'm a big believer in giving back, because so much was given to me. It's required for me to give back to others.
I always feel like that movement creates movement too. Like, you might not know what to do, but if you do that volunteering thing, you never know what just that forward momentum could end up with.
Well, even finding a new best girlfriend or something, I don't know. I mean, if it's a book club, just get out there and find new things. So when I first divorced, I moved right away to Colorado, and I went on Meetup. And so I was thinking I was like pretty fit, but I'd moved from Florida. So in this Meetup, it had, going hiking and whatever. So then I said, okay, I'm going to sign up. And then they said, okay, well, you need to go get these ice cleats. And I'm like, ice cleats? And I didn't understand it, right, from Florida. So I'm like, ice cleats. Okay, I could get ice cleats. And then they said, okay, well, next week we're going to go and we're going to start at 8,000 feet and we're going to run up to 12,000 feet. And then we're going to come back down and then we're going to have pancakes. And I'm like, wait, what? No. So I realized that there are people out there doing so many things with so many different interests, and you have to find which interests you have. But I realized, wait a minute, that's a little too intense.
What did you end up doing, though? What meetup did you join?
I didn't join any. I started volunteering at the hospital, and I volunteered at an organic farm. So I was out planting. Wow. Oh, my goodness. That's a lot of hard work. I have a lot of admiration for farmers. Okay.
Well, what do you want to do next? What's something that you're working on, or you'd really like to accomplish, or a couple of things?
I am still trying to refine the men's journal. I'm only writing one article a day, and I need to get up to 3 to 5. So, and then add
Wow.
video to it. So that's my new thing.
That's
right
a lot
now.
of copy, Kim. I'm a journalist. That's a lot of copy.
Yeah. Yeah. But it does, it makes the needle move. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that I can benefit, but I've been, as you said, tucked away and kind of hidden. So how do I get myself back out there to be able to have that voice, to be able to encourage and help other people? So one way is by just posting and doing and working more. So that's where I'm at. I am developing a jail ministry with Dress for Success and St. Vincent de Paul for women that are coming out of the jail system and are looking to get back in the workforce.
That is absolutely lovely. Wow. And are you interested at all in modeling anymore?
No, not really. Nope. I mean, I did a shoot the other day and I realized, oh my gosh, that's hard work. That was only like 3 hours. I used to do 8 to 10 to 12.
Well, it's just so great to talk to you. I think so many people are going to be delighted to hear more about your life, and some really good tips there too. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so just popping back on to address a couple of things. Actually, just one thing. Kim sort of surprised me when she talked about being on hormone therapy. I guess because she does have such a natural way of moving about the world. But I also think that's really cool because it just shows that the two can coexist and do coexist in many, many women. And I think that's a fallacy. And it's something I still, I guess, kind of believe. Secondly, it's very controversial, the issue of pellets. And she has chosen the method of pellet delivery for estrogen and testosterone. She takes oral micronized progesterone at night. There are a lot of people out there that will tell you this is dangerous and unregulated. Yet there are a lot of people doing it, and people who know what they're doing it, and women like Kim who really don't know what they would do without it. So this is an example of how confusing this conversation is. For a deeper dive on testosterone and testosterone pellets, I would go listen to episode 79 with Dr. Angela DeRosa. She is quite a testosterone expert. And next week we will have another testosterone expert, an academic. Fingers crossed, next week we'll have. So I just wanted to come on and say that's not an issue without it's one of the most divisive issues in the midlife space. Thank you for listening. See you next time.
Hot Flash Inc. was created and is hosted by Ann Marie McQueen, produced and edited by Sonia Mack. The information contained in this podcast is intended for informational purposes only and is not intended for the purpose of diagnosing, treating, curing, or preventing any disease. Before using any products referenced on the podcast, consult with your healthcare provider, read all labels, and heed all directions and cautions that accompany the products. Information received through the podcast should not be used in place of a consultation or advice from a healthcare provider. If you suspect you have a medical problem, i.e. menopause or anything else, or any healthcare questions, please promptly see your healthcare provider. This podcast, including Ann Marie McQueen and any producers or editors, disclaim any responsibility from any possible adverse effects from the use of any information contained herein. Opinions of guests on this podcast are their own, and the podcast does not endorse or accept responsibility for statements made by guests. This podcast does not make any representations or warranties about a guest's qualifications or credibility. This podcast may contain paid endorsements and advertisements for products or services. Individuals on this podcast may have direct or indirect financial interest in products or services referred to herein. This podcast is owned by Hot Flash Inc. Media.